the shit for the first like 15 minutes, you know what I mean? Casual type thing. And then we'll go into the episode and we'll keep the whole thing live. Do you stream?
I mean, I could put it up on my thing, see who hop on. Hold on.
All right, bet. Just in the upper right hand corner, add destination.
Because I don't stream from. Hold on. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hop off real quick and then send the link to my other email because that's what my YouTube is hooked up to. So hold on, wait a minute. I think
no stress.
Yeah, let me hop off real quick.
Oh, good. See you in a bit.
All right.
Did you get my last message on Messenger?
I got something maybe 4 minutes ago, and I replied maybe 2 minutes ago.
Okay, yeah, that sounds makes sense. Okay, yeah, bet. Yeah, I'll run you through the process just after we finish this recording, and then I'll send you through a set of written steps for the future, Alvin.
Cool.
I'm just putting
Well, go on, Stinker. How we living here? Oh, we're always back, all Greece. We never left. I'm seeing that screen name, Bill, and I'm wondering, like,
I just ain't bothered to change it from the last time I was on stream.
No, it sparked something in my mind because I'm like, what are the characteristics of someone that people's parents like? Because I feel like I'm real hit or miss. Like they either hate me or love me.
I don't know, because there's only one girl I've ever met their parents and brought them home to meet my mother, and that is my wife.
Okay, be wild if it wasn't. I wasn't sure how the sentence was going to end. Like, I've only ever done that once and never doing it again. It's the key to a happy marriage.
My wife is the only one, because I always had this thing where because I'm the type of person, I enjoy my solitude, right? So I never understood the concept. Son, relax. I never understood the concept of dating for fun, right? Just dating to be dating.
Okay.
Right? Like, I'll mess around with you. That's different. But, like flower cards and candy or whatever, I'm not doing that unless I see you as, or at least that's how I was when I was younger.
Potential.
Right. Unless I feel like I might get serious with you. And
so it's serious, like life partner? Is that what that category is in the mind?
Then I would consider it.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
We're going down
like
that
serious
path.
as in I could see myself living with you. You know what I mean?
Okay, and if not, then why are we doing Valentine's Day?
Right. And she was the first and only one, and I ain't never had to.
Wow.
I mean, I ain't gonna say I've gotten into that argument before, but Joseph, so relax, please. Have a seat.
Shout out to Joseph.
I need these Knicks to start losing so that he can calm down.
So slow down a little bit.
Not gonna be to the finals.
Ugh. It's not. It's really not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like, because we had this conversation a little bit last week, and I'm like, yeah, I definitely will date just to waste your time, because I feel like, life is in the living. So I'm like, you could get hit by a bus next week, baby. So yeah, I'm not gonna be your husband, but like at least you got to know love for this week, and I feel like that it's a public service.
Yeah. But I mean, it's just me. That was just a me thing. I don't know. Because I'm a natural introvert. I don't like being around people all the time anyway. So it's like,
why am I doing this if this isn't going to be a close connection that I feel safe continually in?
So I mean,
that makes sense.
So I mean, like, I get it. I understand why people do it. It just ain't never been something for me.
And so when you talk about like, cool, you'll fuck on somebody a little bit, but you're not stepping over into romance. Where's the like? Because you know what? Because I think to me, if I fuck a little bit, I'm like, oh, this is like micro love to me. So it's like if I was gonna go, I'm only doing stuff that's serious. Then that would include messing around. So I'm wondering how it is for you.
Well, I mean, I'll say I learned the hard way because the girl that I wound up losing my virginity to, see, and a big part of this comes from, you know, growing up in hold on, give me a second. I'll be right back.
No stress. What you got against overalls, Oakley? What kind of question is that?
I will say to your original question that fathers always like me, mothers always hate me.
Interesting. I would have maybe thought the opposite, but I could see either way. Okay. Without exception.
Without fail.
Have you done some pondering on why you think that is?
Oh, I know exactly why.
Oh, amazing. Yeah.
So dating in high school and most of college with girls and women who were from more well-to-do families, mothers always thought that I wasn't gonna amount to shit. So it would always be like, you know, this boy's family life isn't great. He doesn't have a car. Like, he's from such and such. Like, I don't see this going nowhere. Nowhere positive, at least. I think fathers knew a little bit better, and also like I can have a conversation with a man on a man level, and it to be just fine. So I think they saw a little bit more past like what I always viewed as superficial shit, but that's always the conversation with mothers. Like, basically every woman that I've ever dealt with on like a serious level has gotten to a situation with their mother where they had to quote unquote make excuses for me.
Whereas fathers don't judge you to where an excuse needs to be made.
Never.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Do you feel like mothers tend to, in whatever category of folks that you tend to be interested in, that the women are more not trad wifey, but they're more traditional in this, like, you know, man eat steak, women eat salad kind of a way? Or okay.
Yeah, I feel like it's more so a matter with mothers with their daughters is or at least in my experience, even with my wife, it's, you know, I want to know she's going to be taken care of.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And to me, what that looks like, talking about from the mother's perspective, to me, what that looks like is that it looks a particular way, right? A particular way that you can, I'm just going to keep it a being. You can BS it. You can present a certain way and be like, you know, yeah, I'm gonna work, you know, 2-3 jobs, whatever the case may be, and then it's like, all right, then okay, I know that, you know, he's on good time. Whereas you sit down and you have a conversation, you feel me? And this ain't on no, you know, as a man type tip or anything, but it's like, especially having a daughter now myself, I know the way that straight men think, and I know the presentation that a straight man is going to give. You understand what I'm saying? That my wife might not, because she's not a straight man. She's not in their head, but I can clock where you're coming from, and I can see what. So I'm going to sit down and have a real conversation with you to really see what type of time you're on later for, you know, and this isn't to say that there aren't, because there's plenty of men out there that's just like, I just want you to work yourself to death and take care of my daughter, right? I couldn't care less what goes on in your household when I'm not there. I just want to know that, you know, you paying for her way or whatever. But, you know, I need to have a conversation with you to see, you know, what type of human being you are. You feel me? Because you can work 2-3 jobs. That don't mean you're not going to lay hands on my daughter. That don't mean you're not going to speak to her sideways. You understand what I'm saying? And because I have been in that position where I have been presenting a certain side of myself just to be able to get in there, I know how to get beyond the BS because I've been the BS. You can't BS a BSer, you know what I mean? So I know how to get beyond that.
And so you figure mothers are looking for things that are more like sort of superficial material, like, are you going to keep her fed? And fathers are going, I know how to bullshit that, so I'm looking for personality.
I think it's more so a lot of times mothers don't necessarily know what to look for or don't really know what. Again, so on the flip side, like my son, I see him bring a girl home. There's certain stuff I'm not going to know what to ask. I'm not going to really know how to have that conversation because I'm not a woman. I can never really understand how a woman's mind works. However, my wife, she can sit down, have that conversation with her and be like, no, she not it, because she knows the way that a woman's mind thinks and the presentation that a woman will want to present in order to make you say, all right, yeah, this person is good for my son. You know what I mean?
What would be the top, like if it's like 2 or 3 things that you're like, if you were priming fathers of women who are married, you know, marriage age or starting to date or whatever, what are the things that you look for in a guy that you're like, oh, that's some bullshit? Or maybe more positively, okay, you're struggling in this area, but this set of things on a man-to-man tip, I can see you're a decent person, you would be a good partner. Like, what are those things specifically that you look for?
So for me, like, for instance, I have a brother who's in his early 20s, right? And I tell him this all the time, is that I told him this when he was coming out of high school, was honestly, I don't care if you go to college. I don't care if but you got to have a plan. That's it. You got to have a plan. You got to have a goal, and you have to have at least an idea of how you're going to get to that goal. So if my daughter was to bring somebody home and I talk to him, and he, just like when you at a job, when you go to a job interview and they ask you, where do you see yourself in 5-10 years, right? They want to see how your mind work. Are you goal oriented? Are you feel me, the type of person that we can build around to know that you ain't just, here to collect a paycheck and go home. You know what I'm saying? So that's my first thing, is not even what your plans are with my daughter. What are your plans for your life? You feel what I'm saying? Are you trying to be, or do you plan on topping out as manager at the Cheesecake Factory or whatever? I'm not trying to throw shade. I'm just saying, like, is that your end goal?
That's a good goal. Somebody's got to man it.
Yeah, well, somebody's got to man it.
And that somebody's gonna date that guy.
I want to know what your goal is. If that's your
goal,
if
they say it's Cheesecake Factory, does that feel?
I mean, no. My point being that there's a difference between somebody that says.
I'm with you. Point broadly.
Relax, son. There's a difference between somebody that says that, because honestly, that's a realistic goal. But there's a difference between somebody that says that and says, well, I'm just going to see where things go, right?
And maybe land there, but that's not their intention.
You see what I'm saying? Like, somebody, all right, you a server now, you a hostess now. So what you going to do in 2-3 years? You know what I mean?
I feel that. Because I love a good practical plan.
So that's my first thing, is do you have a plan for yourself? My next thing is, why are you involved with my daughter to begin with? I ain't gonna phrase it that way because I don't want to intimidate or whatever. But there's so many ways to.
Why are you with my daughter, boy?
Right.
I'm asking politely.
The prom picture with the blick, like. But nah, like, why? So because I'm trying to figure out. Again, so what qualities of hers? Because quite obviously, I know my daughter better than you do, right? So what qualities of hers attracted you to her? And if you start, saying some stuff that I know that she's not like, and again, this is no shade because I had to go get my daughter, both my kids, IQ tests for the IEPs or whatever. And so I'm just putting it out there that they both fell on high end IQ, whatever, fell on superior level. That's not me flexing. That's just me because I'm finna say something. Is that if you come in and you say, oh, she's so smart, she's so brilliant, and I'm like, bruh, no, she's not. I've been with her whole life. I know. So I know what type
She's
of
not
time
the sharpest
you
bulb in the shed. It's
right,
okay. I know she got other amazing traits, but that's not at the top of them.
Exactly. She got other. She could be
so
kind.
Funny.
She could be empathetic. She could be this,
for
that,
her
and the third
mathematics
thing.
ability.
Right, but you sitting up here telling me, oh, I was just so attracted to, no, she not.
Okay, but what if he's real dumb? You know what I mean? It's all relative. Like,
I was just
like she's real smart.
Yeah, I was just about to ask, like, what if she's like just smart to him?
Yeah, because that's all it takes. It's like height. It's like, damn, she got 3 digits in her IQ. Einstein.
I mean, all right. So I see what you mean, but
you can probably tell that from the guy. Like if you're measuring him up and you're like, he's a little simple. To him, my daughter, my baby girl is brilliant. Is that red flag? And you allow it, or is it like she can maybe do a little bit better?
All right, so maybe that wasn't the greatest example then.
Okay.
So let me try to think of something else. All right, so I don't know if y'all remember My Wife and Kids, right?
Yeah.
And the oldest daughter, I forget her name. But like if that was my daughter and somebody said, oh, Claire, that was her name. Somebody say, oh yeah, I'm dating Claire because she's so Claire was like the most self-absorbed character on the whole show, right? So if you're telling me that, oh, you want to talk to my daughter Claire because oh yeah, she got a volunteer heart, she just love people, she just like, come on, bruh. Like I know what type of time you on. Like stop it.
The one thing I'll say about that, not to detract from your point, because we're doing the waving the red flag thing where it's like we're missing the forest for the trees type shit. But so overall point taken with that specific example, I will say that sometimes people present to their significant other or even people that they're just interested in different than they present to their family, or they're like, even people that they're close to, like their friends. I will give an example. My sister, and we laugh at her all the time when she's in newer relationships.
Oh,
and she talks to them, she's
different person.
Her voice softens. She's like
Too
nice, and she's like and my sister is like a thug. Like my sister is like she's not a nice person. Like she's very brash. She's very like rah type shit. And then she get on the phone with like this new nigga, and she'd be like,
hey,
hi, hey, oh my god,
hey baby.
So to them niggas, yeah, she might be.
Yeah. But surely you know how your child lies as well. Like, especially if you've seen them dating a few times, you're like, okay, cool. This brother obviously is still watching the screensaver. He hasn't met my daughter fully yet. And maybe new into it. So it's like, all right, once this mouse gets jiggled and he realizes like, oh, okay, she can be a little bit rougher when it's a disagreement, then we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
You know what I always tell people is this is if you think about getting serious with somebody, look at the way that they treat service workers.
That's always a good one.
I 100%
watch how they treat service workers, because waiters, cashiers, whoever, because you can be everything to them and they still got to do their job. So you don't have to be kind.
Ultimate power. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. See how I was saying this the other day. I forgot where I said, but you can tell the true character of a person because people do this thing, right? And I'm kind of going off left a little bit. People do this thing where, they try to use, their personal politics and replace that with a moral. They try to replace their moral compass with their personal politics, right?
Yeah.
And so you get a lot of this, right, where people feel like, oh, because I espouse a certain politic, that makes me morally superior or whatever. And I tell people later,
scumbag to everybody I know.
I don't care about your politics. I don't care about your religion. I don't care about none of that. I know what type of person you are based on the way that you act when you feel like your behavior, when you believe your behavior has no consequences, right? When you feel like there's no repercussions. So look at the way that people communicate with each other online. When people come online and they just come out brazy, just come out talking out the side of the neck, just come out and whatever the case may be, you know what type of person they are. You know what I mean? They likely the type of person that they, want them problems in real life. So they project that when they come online because they know that they have power by way of anonymity. Right. Ain't nothing I can do to you. I can't touch you. I can't do nothing to you. So now you feel like you got some power. So I say that to say, you. Go ahead.
You're free to be you.
You right. So I say that to say, give somebody just a little bit of power, just a little. Watch how people move when they got power. And the best way to do that is, in my opinion, is take them out to eat. Now take them out to a nice restaurant. See how they treat the waiter. See how one thing that, and I don't know how much of this is the autism or the whatever, or just because I've had service workers in my family. But one thing that I can't do when I go out to eat is just leave the table a mess. I got to stack stuff. I got to put stuff on stuff and then hand it to the waiter on one list so that
I'm a fucking scumbag. I'll never do that shit.
I mean,
I'll never do that shit. And because I've worked many hospitality jobs. I'm like, hey, look, that's your job. Like I'm on the other side. I don't know if that's ladder pulling or if that's me being like, nah, like it's okay to let you do your job. Like that's my take.
Well, I'm saying that's just me. That's just me.
Fair.
And I feel like when I started taking my wife out, I mean, she don't go to the extreme that I do because I'm just anal about it.
Okay.
But I would know that she would do stuff
washing
like
as well.
Huh?
Oh, I just said you go into the kitchen and wash them and stuff as well. But that makes a lot of sense because I think I always say I don't have any babies, but just in protecting my own little heart, it's like I want to see what you're like with people when it doesn't benefit you one way or the other to treat them kindly.
Exactly.
Because there's going to be a day in the future where maybe you don't love me anymore, and if all of your kindness and sweetness and softness and caring is deeply contingent on how you happen to feel about me today, then that's a big issue. And I think I also look for people who it's like, you're kind to everybody. And maybe I'm first on that list because I'm your romantic partner, but I'm like, I see how you treat people that you really don't even fuck with or you don't love anymore. And I'm like, I would be okay with that, with being that. I love that I'm the person you love right now, but I would be okay even if you weren't in love with me. So same kind of a vibe.
Mm-hmm. One of the things my father, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
I was about to say, like, I thought the whole, like, picking up after yourself at a restaurant or, like, when you go out was kind of like a black person thing.
It might be because it's something that I think where I picked it up was I saw my mom doing it. And I said, oh, okay, so we just supposed to clean up after ourselves. So
yeah, because but then again, I also do have like a bias because my mom was like a waitress for majority of my like adolescent life growing up. So I've always been like, to be sure to be extra kind to the waitress, tip very well,
right.
Just kind of have that decency because like being a waitress or a waiter is like one of the most like difficult jobs, like dealing with all those people who don't owe you, stressful, and then they don't. Some people don't feel like they owe you respect because you're serving. Being in the service,
right?
And
that's the problem.
Exactly. And if you're dealing with people on the corporate level, we already know how taxing that is. But you in that
you
sort
got a
of
head chef being like, yo, faster. Like it's on both ends. Like everywhere I couldn't do that. Like I've worked in kitchens and worked the floor. As stressful as a kitchen is, I always preferred that over working a floor. It's everybody's fucking screaming at you. And just and there's this, like I've had moments like in the Bear where I've had like a head chef be like, "What the fuck are you doing, motherfucker? Get this shit plated." And I'm like, "All right, I'm quitting. I don't know what this thing is, but I'm not doing this." But the way that people sometimes treat you at a table is this like passive disgust. It's not even like they're treating you like a dickhead. They're treating you like
you're beneath them.
Beneath them, yeah. Like it's not in your face. Like I'm looking you in your eyes and telling you you're fucking up. It's you're not even. It's like talking to a child. It's like chastising a child almost, which you shouldn't. That's bad too for some of the same reasons, but it's that kind of energy.
One of my favorite experiences was I got the opportunity to tell a mother off because I went out.
Love it.
because she didn't like me, and just being fair in hindsight.
Oh, a partner's mom.
She was probably right not to like me because what she assumed about me in terms of my intentions were fairly accurate. Correct. So shout out to mom.
But we podcast with you. We know what's up. Yeah.
Yeah, but she also was just not a great person. She was a horrible, and like I peeped that we mutually didn't like each other, and it was mutual that came out.
Recognized real.
And one time we went to a restaurant. It was a fucking Longhorn. I remember the restaurant. I remember today. And she was just so rude to the wait staff. And I was like, look, man, we might let's pause and have a conversation about what you're doing. And this was a younger me. Like I was like 19. I was like, let's pause and have a conversation about what's happening at the table and why you feel the need to have this conversation at the level that you're having it. She piped the fuck down. I won't say that, but score. We tied. I know if you hear this and you're listening, you were right, but so was I.
That's one thing about Alvin. That's how he lives his life. You might be right, but more importantly, so was I. Alvin Durand. Real shit. I feel that. Yeah, Josh. What do you have like ideas on the kind of thing that you would look for a partner to, let's say, your daughter, since there's some gender shit too, but that's what we're talking about at the onset.
How he treats her, like genuinely treats her, and how he talks to me about women in general. That'd be like a big how he talks to me about women in general. Because I know some dudes that, I mean, I ain't about to get too close to home, but I know some dudes who have a wife, but when they get around their boys, like the conversation can be very different, very massagey. You know what I mean? I'm like, God, I can't jive with this. Why can't get jiggy?
That includes your partner, brother, right? Like that's exactly
what you think. And that'd be the thing, because it's like is it this energy for like your partner too, or like what it also does kind of explain like some behaviors like in the house with like certain things you might believe, especially if you're dealing with people of different ethnicities and like their culture. And that can go down like a whole.
What do you mean about it? Can you say more on that?
No disrespect. Don't disrespect. No.
Okay. I don't want that.
I ain't doing it. I'm not doing it.
Damn, now I'm so curious.
I said I like pancakes. Oh, you said you hate waffles. Oh,
yeah.
I tell you, I love camera.
I'd like to apologize to the community on behalf of. I've got so many friends who are XYZ.
Keep starting stuff off the internet. You know how niggas get on the internet.
Indeed. But I'm pretty sure you can put some context clues together. With that, if you've experienced certain things with different cultures and blah blah blah. But yeah, so I would definitely pay attention to how he treats her especially over the same period of time, and then how he talks about like other women in general. How do you view gay people? Is another thing. Those things. I pay attention to.
I was just going to say that I had a coworker once. She had a daughter that was around my age, and she said, "You know what? I told my daughter that when you meet a guy and you get serious with him, y'all move in together for at least a year. Like, I'm not even going to be mad, because it's a whole nother thing when you living with somebody. It's a whole other thing when you get married to somebody, because even when you living with somebody, you can always, depending on what y'all financial situation is, you can always just leave. It's a different thing when, y'all get in an argument, and instead of I'm going home or I'm hanging up the phone, you in the living room, I'm in the bedroom, whatever the case may be. It's a whole nother thing when, y'all lovey-dovey, but y'all got to split bills or whatever the case may be. Then you really start to see how somebody will character. Are you going to call me out of my name because you stressing out over some money stuff? You know what I'm saying? Or are you going to, start doing some other things because you don't like? And then sometimes it's just like little nitpicky stuff that people do that just wear on you after a while, that kind of take the rose tinted glasses off. It's a whole nother thing when you got to be with another human being, and it's not always by choice. I mean, it is by choice, but in that moment, I wish that I was somewhere else, or I wish that I was doing something else. All I want to say earlier was that something that my father-in-law always says is that love is an action word. You know what I mean? Yeah. People always look at love as a noun, but love is also a verb. You got to choose, especially when you're with somebody for an extended period of time. There's going to come, because I tell people all the time, the worst lie that we tell ourselves is this assumption that you dating somebody long term, or you marry somebody and you ain't never going to be attracted to nobody else. That is a lie. You know what I'm saying? And we tell ourselves that lie, I guess, because we don't want to feel bad about the fact of being attracted to somebody else. But what happens, because even if y'all don't get into an argument, you're going to have these moments where your infatuation with your partner ebbs and flows, right? But do you say that what we have built, what we got, is more important than me going over here and spread my wild oats and doing whatever the case may be? Or am I that selfish? Am I that self-interested that I'm going to go over here and do my thing just because I ain't feeling it right now? You know what I'm saying? I tell people all the time is that as a partner, you got to make this conscious decision in your mind that says, I'm going to put my partner's needs ahead of my wants. And that's not an easy thing to do. But you got to condition yourself. You got to train yourself to say what she needs, what he needs, what they need right now is more important than what I want. You know what I mean?
Or how I feel in this specific moment.
Right. Or how I feel in this specific moment, because feelings come and go. You know what I mean? Attraction comes and goes. You know what I mean? Horniness comes and goes. Once you let off, you done. You understand what I'm saying? Now you got clarity. Now you got to live with the fact that I did that based off of a feeling. You know what I mean?
It's like I did that, either good or bad. But yeah, I will say, like, I saw like this one clip of Kev on stage. He was on a Durand's podcast, and he said something like really, really impactful. He was describing like him and his wife, Lise. What's Kev on stage's wife's name? Anyone know?
Off the top of my head.
Yeah, I don't remember her name.
Yeah, all respect to her. It's like, she's really dope. I can't remember her name.
Melissa.
Thank you. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yes, Melissa. He was describing his relationship with her, and one of the things that he had to unlearn in that relationship was when she would be having like bad days, she might have an attitude or something like that. He was like, well, hey, I ain't about to, I'm about to go and do my own thing. I'm not about to go and, I'm not about to subject myself to this energy. I'm going to, play my game, read a book, do something else. I'm just going to remove myself from the situation. And then they had a session with his therapist and was like, well, how do you think it makes your wife feel when you always kind of like abandon her, like when she's having a bad day? And not necessarily like she was treating him like shit, but like her energy might have been off. And he was like, damn, like I'm always abandoning you. Like when you're going through it, like, what if I just sat with you? No, the therapist said, can you sit with your wife during those bad days. Like, you know, the air might be a little thick, it might be a little tough, but you don't have to say anything, you don't have to try to solve anything, but just can you sit with your wife? And like that was actually pretty eye-opening for me, because I'm not gonna lie, like, that was kind of like my mindset with a lot of things. Is like I don't want to deal with like negative energy, but that was actually very eye-opening. And again, another instance of like choosing to love your partner,
right?
Those difficult moments, because you know, like shoot, it happens, man. When women deal with hormones like we can't relate to. And he was like, hell, my hormones was like going up and down, like, and if my wife was like abandoning me every time, like I was kind of going through it or just having a bad day, like I was like, damn, where you go? Like I feel bad about it. Yeah. So that was a really good shout out to Kevin on stage. This motherfucker always dropping gems, but yeah.
I think the thing that gets lost in that conversation, and again, not trying to miss the forest for the trees here, but I always feel like when people talk about emotions in that realm, where they always say that it's only one way to do things. That's the thing. So like, I have a friend, and Eddie and Josh, you know, we're involved with this because I had a friend pass, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. It hit me real hard, and I approached it in the way that I approach things, and the way that I approach things that makes me feel better is not what the therapist just described to Kev, right? And one of my really good friends, I was telling her about it, and she said, how would you like me to be there for you in this moment? And that was the most powerful thing that I had ever experienced. And I told her, thank you for that, because what a lot of people do is they do these cookie cutter things, and they say like, well, you should do this and you should do that and you should do this. Right. And I'm like, well, that don't work for me. Like, I don't want you to sit with me when I have my negative energy. I want you to leave me alone. I want you to go to the other room and play the game. I want you to go to the other room and do something else. So I think that the core is be there for the person. And that's like the global message that I think is there. But I also think it's be there for the person in the way that they want you to be there for them, in the way that's productive for them, in the way that fits their needs and all that kind of stuff. So I think the conversation is, again, harkening back to my friend, how do you want me to be there for you? How do you want me to respond in this situation? What helps you? But I also think that's a two-way street, because I also think that the person that gets asked that question needs to be in a good headspace to give you a pro-social answer.
Yeah.
And I often am not, to be honest, but like in hindsight, I've sat down and kind of like put together like some kind of playbook stuff. Like, this is what works for me in a way that doesn't crush me and makes me worse.
Yeah, that's the difficult, like, what do you need specifically? Here's what people generally need, but then let me listen to you to tweak it to like, no, you're an I need time to process things person versus I want to sort it now so it doesn't fester and not get talked about and then just come up again later. But in the meantime, let me introduce this bitch. Welcome everybody to Waving the Red Flag. Kev on Stage's favorite relationship analysis podcast. It's your boy Eddie. It's Josh. It's Alvin. Joined today by the illustrious academic Lil Bill. Thanks for coming through.
Did y'all get that?
We did.
That was good.
That was clean. That was clean. Vuvuzela.
All right.
I did come across this
this
guy. Oh yeah.
Before you do that, just real quick, we ain't shout out. We ain't give one of these real in a minute. Oh,
nope, not that one. Yeah, it was also clues bombs behind it at the same time.
Yeah, I kind of like it though. You know, I don't know.
Yeah. Yes, thank you for the Grammy sticker. It could work if the clues bombs didn't sound like they were happening 3 houses over.
True.
Like, yeah.
True.
Real quick. Ogres, you can get both pancakes and waffles at IHOP. IHOP has Belgian waffles.
Word? Yes, they do. They do.
Just putting that out there. That came up a couple times. I want to show some love.
No shame. Why do most places choose? Like, I feel like you can't. It's like, why did Waffle House choose that way? Like, I mean, I get it. They put it in the name as that thing, but it's like, you can't do pancakes.
Well, I mean, like IHOP is the house of pancakes. Like, why can't Waffle House step their game up?
Exactly. Pancake Parlor, they only do pancakes though. Or fucking does Pancake House do waffles?
I don't believe so.
I don't think they do, man. I ain't never had.
Maybe there's something political here that we don't understand. Like maybe there's something deeper to this that you kind of have to pick sides. Cheesecake Factory serve all type of shit. It's not even just cheese or cake or cheesecake. So I don't know.
And then they don't even make the cheesecake on site. That's the only thing they don't make on site is the cheesecake.
They outsource the cheesecake. Damn. Is it at least top down vertically controlled? Like, is it Cheesecake Factory brand cheesecake, or they're just
it's cheesecake fat, but it literally comes from the Cheesecake Factory and then goes to the
so it's not made with love.
Restaurant.
It's like Dunkin' Donuts.
On brand, correct?
Yeah.
On brand.
Factory that makes cheesecakes.
Damn, you're right.
Much more on brand than that. I'm not mad.
They told you what the fuck it was, so we can't be surprised. No, this is not a cheesecake restaurant.
Nigga, this
Cheesecake Factory, big dog. Yeah. Yeah. The factory is a
These is the hard hitting questions that we must answer.
That's real shit. How do you treat International House of Pancake servers versus Waffle House servers? That's the real question.
Oh, that's how that depends on how they come at you.
So how the very first interaction of may I help you, or what do y'all want?
Right, because you go to Waffle House, I'm in the Northeast, so I don't get to frequent Waffle House. But sometimes when just about every Waffle House experience I've had has been positive. But every once in a while, you go in there at a certain time a day, and niggas act like they ready to square up with you right off rip. And I'm like, come on, dog. I'm just trying to get a piece of steak smothered with something, covered with something. Just leave me alone, dog. Like, it's not that serious, man.
What time were you going to Waffle House? Because that could greatly shift your
The hours are a suggestion. It's not time. Waffle House after dark is not. Yeah, don't ask for anything.
Look, man, they treat me like family at my local Waffle House. You know, all the Waffle Houses I frequent. Hateville, Georgia Waffle House. Connect to the Wi-Fi network. East Point Waffle House. But I have had some situations where they got a little bit too friendly. It was like, like me and my
can you hop on the fries real quick? Type energy.
Like real shit. It was like we came in there and they was like, hey, what's up? And we was like, hey, what's up? And they was like, we know you gonna want coffee and water, and you gonna want an orange juice. Y'all can just go back there and get it. And I was like, what the fuck?
Wait a second, I'm still paying for the service. What do we?
What you mean?
That's hilarious.
They're like, we're a little swamp right now. The coffee right there, and we was like,
bro, can you
got a little bit
put on an apron real quick? We got one of your size. That's crazy.
That's a whole nother level.
Ridiculous.
That's wild.
Waffle House.
That's gotta be some type of violation.
Definitely food and safety.
Like, does that make you feel good?
Maybe.
We still go to that Waffle House. I mean, we didn't stop going.
It depends how close I am, because there does feel like there's this deep barrier between back of house and front of house. Like if you could see a glass that's on the other side of the bar and you're like, I need a glass. This guy's busy. It's taking a second. Like I'll just you just reach over and grab it. But it's like that's kind of an overstep. So if they're like, yeah, no, just come back in the kitchen, get whatever you need. You don't have to wait for us to come over and serve it to you when we're busy. I could see that. If they ask me to cook my own steak, we have a problem. But bits and pieces, yeah.
Fair. Yeah, no, that would make me feel great. Like I would literally take dates there, not out on a date, but like I would take like people
to eat,
like women. You know what I'm saying? Like
women people.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
To the Waffle House just so they can see my emotion. Like, yo, I can just go back here.
Got you.
Don't worry about nothing.
It's on me. I'm connected. Everybody know me here.
Yeah. They already know the order.
Shit. That's like that Batman scene. I'm pretty sure we can put these tables together. I own the place. I'm known at this Waffle House.
Josh, they used to be my go-to move undergrad, man. So I used to, we were just talking about I used to fool with these upper middle class women or whatever. So what I do is, we in Atlanta, but I go to school in Northeast Atlanta. So I take them to the South Side. I just go to any restaurant, any wing spot or whatever. Somebody in there know me. Oh man, I'm fucking in there. They think I'm certified. They think I'm for real. But even if I didn't know nobody in there, I'm just gonna dap up anybody in there and just be like, "Yo, what's up?"
They're like, "Oh, yep, okay,
what up, boss?" They're like, "Oh shit, he's legitimate. He's a hoodlum." And that's how you get the middle class women. Yeah.
Do you think do they tend to go for Like, are they not aiming at middle class men, or what's the do the office job baddies only want the street guys? Is that what the
it is my firm belief that women typically want a man who's everything. So what they would really like for you to be is like a 6'5" bodybuilder who's from the hood but don't really act like a hood person unless you really want him to act like a hood person, who goes to church but is not too religious, who like is a doctor but also played D1 sports, who's a millionaire but like is also like younger than 35. Like they really want you to be everything. So the more boxes
that's
you
everybody
check, you know.
Okay. They love a reformed thug.
Oh, for sure. 100%.
Reformed thug is, okay. We're getting into the red pill section of the podcast. I mean, look, I definitely think that there's
all of this everybody. Jokes. All of this.
There's truth in that too. I'm not saying
this is tongue in cheek. This is tongue in cheek.
Don't roll it back. You meant that, which is fair because there's nuance to it. But
no, I really didn't. I'm really
okay.
Like 60% joking.
Okay. All right. That's still a very low percentage of joking.
There's a kernel of truth in there, though.
Yeah, it's still almost half true.
Popcorn, it's some popcorn truth in that motherfucker. It ain't just a kernel. Like I have
okay.
Like I love a reformed thug, and that's okay. That's all right if that's what you like.
No, because like thug stuff is and gets continually programmed as like it's a very exciting form of masculine expression to everybody. Men think that, men think that a lot. So I'm not surprised I'm not surprised that there's that. Yeah, everybody thinks that.
Yeah, y'all want to hit one of these topics?
Yes, sir.
Is this in transition? Did you give this album a listen? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? Are we talking about Drake? Or are we talking about... no.
I think honestly, Kevin might be better. Our audience don't seem like they give a fuck about no Drake conversation.
Yeah, they love to hate on Drake.
Oh yeah, they just don't watch no video that's related to it, but they 100% will. The few that come through will be like, "Hey, fuck this video, thanks." So true.
Yeah. All right, let's get into the stuff because that was that's a big thing.
Let me see what. Doctor. I was about to say Mr. Umar. Dr. Umar. We've confirmed and seen his dissertation.
I thought you was about
to read it.
You said it wasn't very good though, right, Alvin?
Yeah, it's all right.
Okay, all right. Let's see what he says.
And she turned to exit because the exit was right behind the stage. Shane Gillis got up there again after calling Lizzo a fat bitch. Guess what he says about Tiana Taylor? At least she's good looking because that bitch is not funny. You know what I just said? At least she's good looking because that bitch is, he called two black women a bitch and didn't get knocked on his ass. How does a white man call a black woman a bitch? Two different women on international television, Netflix, and don't get knocked on his ass. Let's continue, Art. Kevin is so short, they would have to lynch him from a bonsai tree. He did well in Saudi Arabia because they thought he was the monkey from Aladdin. His ancestors came to America on a slave ship in a bottle. I'm about to blow your mind now, Art. Listen to this. Guess who wrote these jokes? Who wrote? A group of 17 white men. Art, a group of 17 white men were hired by Netflix to make a night's worth of racially derogatory, insulting, and humiliating jokes about black people. White men wrote these, Art. Let's continue. Jeff Moss calls Cheryl Underwood the donkey from Shrek, and then he says Cheryl's pronouns are he/haw, not her, with her and she are, but he/haw, like a donkey. Cheryl's pronouns are he/haw. Let's continue.
Explainer. Yep.
Kevin, then he says, Kevin, I know your dad walked out on you, and then I went to one of your movies, and I walked out on you. Here we go. Listen to this joke. Lamar Odom, back-to-back NBA champions with Kobe Bryant, Los Angeles Lakers. We know Lamar Odom had an addictions problem that he kicked, right? Now he's doing good for himself. Shout out to Lamar Odom. Listen to this joke. He's not even a part of the program. He's in the audience. And I think it was Jeff Moss. Listen to what he says, Art. I don't want no smoke with The Rock because that's what almost killed Lamar Odom. I don't want no smoke with The Rock because that's what almost killed Lamar Odom. I wish Lamar Odom would have walked up there and smacked the
Regina
SHIT
Hall walked
out of
off
Jeff
or
Moss.
something like
Let's
that,
continue,
I
Art.
think.
Let me make an observation. When they were making jokes about Chelsea Handler called it too, Art, but not as bad as Lizzo. They kept calling her all night long, talking about how she slept with 50 Cent, even though that's a white woman, Art. Even though that is a white woman, I did not appreciate it for her. I don't date out my race, but guess what? I don't want to see no woman humiliated like that. They humiliated Chelsea Handler, called her all night long, talking about how she be sucking pics, all kind of stuff, Art. But you know why they made her the mule? Why was Chelsea Handler made the mule, Art? Because they had to justify what they were doing to Cheryl Underwood. So Chelsea, see that, Art? She became the crash dummy, the white.
All right, I think that covers most of it. If y'all have seen other clips, he does make another little point about Regina Hall. If y'all are interested, though.
Honestly, I like Chelsea Handler's response.
Oh yeah,
better. It gave a bit more insight on Shane Gillis and the other guy.
All right, I'll give it a play. Let's see what she said.
And shout out to Chelsea.
Oh yeah.
Why you say it like that, Josh?
Small one. We can't hear.
You can't hear?
Nah.
Oh, okay. Hold on.
We just see that milk of magnesia representing for the niggas.
This motherfucker.
Your voice been real sultry talking about Chelsea Handler.
Real, yeah. Josh, 50 Cent Jackson over here. Let's see.
I'm 51.
Did y'all hear that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, I'm pretty secure with who I am. Yeah. I don't care if these guys say that I'm a whore. Like, I'm doing exactly what they're doing, except I'm a woman and I'm allowed to. And that's real. Yeah, I'm rich, I'm famous, and I'm hot. So I'm fucking people. Like, that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to continue to keep doing that as long as, I remain as fuckable as I am. So I don't really see the problem.
Yeah, no. And I think a lot of other women should feel the same way, especially when.
Yeah, whether you're famous or rich, those don't apply. But like the idea that, like, what were they going to say about me? They couldn't say anything other than that I'm a whore or my age. I think that was the other thing they went in. And you're like, well, okay. Those aren't jokes. That's not clever writing. And I knew they would be lazy because they do that for a living. And I knew enough about like Tony Hinchcliffe and Shane and their backgrounds. I had ex-girlfriends blowing up my DMs that had dated Shane and were telling me stuff about him. So based on that, I was like, oh, these guys are pretty bad.
So you had something on him that you was going, you could tell us now. What shit, Shane?
It's just everything we know, that they're racist, that they're bigots, that they're sexist, that they think they're like invincible, that they've been canceled for being like, Shane got fired from SNL, but then was on SNL. Years later. So he got fired. So what happened in between those two events? So he believes, this is per one of his exes, that he's invincible. He's like, doesn't matter. I can say anything I want.
Yeah. Do you think that now a lot of like white comics, they feel as though that they can say something racist and it's going to further their career?
Well, yeah, they're going to get in with that group of like Roganites and that Austin group of Joe Rogan and all of those guys. And I just, like that's their MO. Even some rural comics have started to do it, to be like in with that group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like they say this racist. Yeah, because I'm starting to feel that. I'm starting to feel like it's this thing that a lot of white comics are doing, and there's this group of them that's like they say in things and people, they get famous and then people get on their ass, but then there's another group going, hey, well, you're cool with us for saying what you say. Yeah. Now they become super rich and famous and they sell out all over. And it's like, I don't think anybody should be paying attention to that because it's not happening like that on the other end. But they're becoming famous over this shit. Right?
Yeah, for sure.
So that's crazy. So with this whole, did you feel? I mean, did you like the shit they were saying out there? Like,
no, I mean, it was ick. It was gross. I don't find those jokes to be funny. Jokes about lynching black people or like lynching is not a joke. It's not. That's worse than rape. Like, you're not joking about rape, are you? Are you saying I'm gonna go rape you? You can't do that, but you can say lynching. Like, I find that to be, I don't know. People are like, it's a roast, you go for it. I'm like, you can go for it without being gross. Yeah. Like, I find that to be gross. I found them making fun of Cheryl Underwood's like dead husband who committed suicide. Like,
skin color.
She's fine with that. If she said she's fine with that, she's fine with that. I wasn't fine with that. I thought that was disgusting too. But there was so much disgustingness that I knew it was going to be such a like gross vibe that I would be able to elevate it, no problem. And that's what I went to do. I was like, all right, well, I'll pick it up because they're going to try and bring it down. And Kevin didn't deserve that. He deserved like an elevated roast.
So let me ask you this: when you see other black people laughing at that, does it make you go, all right, whatever, or do you think to yourself, what the fuck are they laughing at that?
I mean, I'm not here to tell black people what's funny about black jokes. Like, no, I'm not here in the world to do that. Like, I know enough to just, that's my opinion. I don't like that. I also don't like the N-word, but I have plenty of black friends who toss that around all the time. It's not my place to say, oh, that word makes me feel uncomfortable. Right. Black people are allowed to do whatever they want. If Kevin thinks that's funny, he thinks that's funny. I don't think it's funny.
Right.
Okay, man, yeah, I've got a lot of maybe almost more questions than takes on some of this because it feels like, for some reason, it reminds me of the etiquette of beef conversation, like rap beef conversation that we had. But I wanted to start with you, Bill. If you had, thoughts on this, because I know you've previously been researching like a black comedy sort of like essay work, and we lined up try to help connect you with Ali. And that, does this link in with that? Do you have thoughts about things that you might have discovered in your research on the state of comedy?
I mean, I don't know how much it connects with what I'm working on. By the way, that should be coming out sometime next month.
Okay,
but
what did the topic of that one end up being? Like, what did it sort of? What was the concept as it coalesced?
So basically, it became this conversation on what actually constitutes black comedy, right? Because people have this So I'll put it like this, right? Is, you know, when you hear black comedy, 9 times out of 10, your mind is going to go to a certain style. It's going to go to, you know, baby mama jokes. It's going to go to, you know, white people be like. It's going to be
white people
right.
do this. Yeah.
So, but, you know, black comedy is also Eric Andre, right? Black comedy is Hannibal Buress. It's Amber Ruffin, right? But when they do it, it's not black comedy. It's these comedians just so happen to be black. However, you feel me? You got Jeff Foxworthy, you know, Larry the Cable Guy, all of them and whatever and whatnot. But nobody's calling that white comedy. That's blue collar.
Well,
that's working class. That I mean, we may.
No, I'm with you. Yeah,
but
I'm with
generally speaking, right?
Because they've got subcategories.
They're not going to refer to it as that, because the implication is that this is all that there is to white comedy, is this right here. But that excludes, you know, Jerry Seinfeld, who don't even cuss in his jokes. Yeah. That excludes, you know, you know, just because this is the top of my head, just old people, you know, Lenny Bruce, Robin Williams, all that and whatever and whatnot the case may be. And it just gets into this whole thing about, you know, the dynamics of, you know, because I know we're going to talk later on about the Durand Burnarr piece, and about, you know, the presentation of straightness, right? And a lot of that comes from people's conceptions of what it means to be black. People who are not black have decided in their minds what blackness is, and they keep feeding themselves that image over and over and over and over again. So if you don't fit into that mold, then you are exceptional in some way, shape, or form. You can't just be, but you are exceptional in your blackness because you don't perform in a certain manner. So that's where that was going.
Can I ask you just a follow up to that? Because I find that real interesting. What would you say to the idea of black comedy being defined not so much by the style of the black artist on stage, but the makeup of their audience? Because you listed a few. You listed like Eric Andre. If I'm thinking about like Baron Vaughn, Donald Glover, I forget the other guy, the dude who outed Bill Cosby.
That was Hannibal Buress.
Yeah, Hannibal Buress. When I think of their audiences, and I don't know, but when I think of their audiences, I think of a white audience.
Yeah.
Whereas comics that might traditionally be called a black artist, I'm like, you know, and there's the concept of the Chitlin circuit, like in comedy as well. So it's like, you know, how might you fold that into that idea?
So, and basically what I get into with this video is that, and I forget the name of the book, but it's matter of fact, shout out to John Lewis, because I believe he was reading this book around the same time as I was.
Okay.
And it gets into quote unquote the black comedy underground, right? So you kind of had two different traditions developing at the same time. You had, you know, the vaudeville, and, you know, the coon songs, and the Jim Crow and all of that. And really where that came from is the slaves were on the plantations mocking the masters, and the masters didn't realize that they were doing that, and they just said, oh, these black people are just natural buffoons, not realizing. So when they did blackface, what they didn't realize was that they were basically mocking themselves, but they did not understand that. And so from that's where we get the minstrelsy. That's where we get, you know, black comedy as buffoonery, right? And so you had people like, you know, Stepin Fetchit and all of that, who, you know, took that route in order to get a bag. But because you mentioned the Chitlin circuit on the other earlier, the Chitlin circuit developed as a means for, basically, it was FUBU, right? It was the white folks got their understanding of what black art is. We going to keep this to ourselves, right? Because this ain't necessarily, I mean, obviously anytime you create art in our society is to make a bag off of it, right? But it's curated to an audience that's going to appreciate it. That's not going to box you into, all right, you gotta be like this. And from that, that's where, you know, when we start thinking about people like Bill Cosby, like Nipsey Russell, like Dick Gregory and all of that, they came out of that tradition in the 60s. They came from Moms Mabley, who came out of the Chitlin circuit and was the first one to really be like, all right, I'm going to take my platform and I'm going to speak truth to power with it without these white folks really realizing it, right? So you had two diverging traditions where it becomes, you know, where we think of like, you know, Dave Chappelle comes from that lineage of folk using their platform to speak truth to power, right? I mean, again, we can say what we want to say about Dave now. He's kind of gone left, or right actually, but he comes from out of that lineage, right? That lineage that comes from the Chitlin circuit, whereas you got another interpretation that even today mainstream society still looks at that and calls that black comedy. I talk about, you know, today, you know, you look at like these 20v1s and you look at like, you know, take for example, you know, Speed, right? I mean, Speed has kind of reformed his image since then, but he got famous making funny faces and dog noises at pretty white girls on stream while everybody pointed and laughed at him for being a buffoon, basically. That is a survival from that vaudeville minstrelsy tradition. So it's always kind of been these not necessarily mutually exclusive traditions, but different approaches to doing two separate things, where you got people over here saying, all right, I'm gonna give the audience what they want in order to make a bag for myself, right? That's step and fetch it. And then on the other hand, you got people that's saying, I'm going to maybe not be able to make the same type of bag because I'm not appealing to as wide an audience, but I'm also going to use this platform to carry on the tradition of, you know, of what we call signifying, right? And again, that's Moms Mabley and all of those people that came from that lineage. So I say that to say, because one thing I don't like to do is and I think I say this in the script at some point, is I don't like doing this thing like, oh, you watch so and so, you like, oh, you're a bad black person, you know, if you watch Tyler Perry movies or whatever. Like I can't stand Tyler Perry myself, but I watch pro wrestling. Maybe not regularly, but I watch pro wrestling. Pro wrestling is trash. You know what I mean? I was growing up, they had a pimp and a porn star on primetime TV, and I was like 7 and 8 years old. So, you know what I mean? I'm not going to sit here, you know, and wag my finger at you. But if that's
people do get high and mighty about jokes, but you know, like humor.
But it's like, if that's all you're consuming, if all you're consuming is negative images of blackness, if all you're consuming is baby mama jokes, if all you're consuming is 20v1s, there's one of two things that's going on. It's either this is what you think blackness is, or you're being actively conditioned to assume that this is what blackness is. Because again, you're not counterbalancing it out with any other presentation. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that, like, I know you said that doesn't tie into this conversation about the Kevin Hart roast and the lynching jokes and the and all of the sort of like broadly just racist jokes that are coming up, the George Floyd joke that Tony Hinchcliffe did. But it does seem like it's the same thing, because I wonder whether or not there's some sort of argument that the black folks who are up on stage or who condone it are coming from the vaudeville tradition and not the FUBU tradition, in the way that you just sort of laid out that dichotomy.
I mean, yeah, I can see that argument, because again, you gotta, so and all these things, we got to consider that at the end of the day, whatever industry we talk, there's only one Black entertainer that is and it's a shame that this is the way that it is. But there's a 2-hour video up on YouTube right now. You feel me? Y'all boy FD Signifier did it. There's only one truly autonomous Black entertainer in the industry today, and that is Tyler Perry. Yeah, everybody else, every other Black artist is working within the confines of a white supremacist industry, in the confines of an industry that has an image of Blackness in its head, in its mind, and says, give us that. If you are not going to give us that, then I don't know if we could fund you. Not necessarily out of malice, but because I don't know how much money it's going to make. We know that presenting Black people, we know that, Jezebel is going to make money, because that's what we're accustomed to seeing. We know that Mandingo is going to make money. I bring this point up to the point that it's a running gag with my editor is black.com. You know what I mean? There's a reason why black.com exists. And that's because that is the image of Black masculinity that I ain't even gonna hold you. Straight white men want to see. You understand what I'm saying? Straight white men want to see that depiction of Black masculinity. That is what
the entire cuck market.
Right. Exactly. They're
doing trillions every year.
Industry for that. You dig what I'm saying? So
I've never seen a Black person who's a cuck, as far as I can tell. I know it exists. Like, I know that exists. Actually, that's probably not even true. I actually probably have met somebody who likes that. But yeah, it ain't at the same volume. It's not. They got the GDP of a small country. White folks.
So I say all of that because I don't want to ramble too much. But I say all of that to get to this point is that I think what we saw with Kev particularly is people understanding, and I'm not saying that it's right, but what I am saying is that is Black folks being aware of exactly where their place is on the totem pole within the industry. Is that at the end of the day, you can only be so give us free before it start touching your pockets. And the stone cold reality of it is that more often than not, in order to ascend that high in Hollywood, you got to sacrifice some piece of your soul. You have to. You have to. I'm not necessarily saying, getting into Illuminati or weird stuff like that. But you got to give up something. Right. Because I forget who said that, but they said, show me any celebrity who's a combination of well, I'll just use these two. It's show me any celebrity here we go. Show me any celebrity who's a combination of rich, radical, and still breathing. They're few and far in between. And that's not by mistake.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? If you want to win the game, you got to play it. Mm-hmm. And in order to play the game, it means that you're going to have to set it's like gambling. You know what I mean? You got to sacrifice some. You got to put some chips on the table, or you're not going to be able to take anything back with you. More oftentimes than not, you're going to lose, though. Because why? The house always wins. If you keep beating the house, what's going to happen? They're going to flag down some man in a suit to say, come get him. He counting cards. He doing something. Something's not right because we losing money. So I say all of that to say that if you're going to, so that is what we witnessed at that roast, is niggas understanding their place on the totem pole, for better or for worse.
I think that's a very generous stance to give them. Honestly,
I mean, but there's always, I just used a bunch of words that really boil down to one 4-letter word that I don't want to use on y'all stream.
Yeah,
that's what word I'm talking about, but that's what we saw.
We linked it out. That's a unke. It's all right. You can say that.
But at the end of the day, that's what that is. That's what that is. Recognizing your place on the social hierarchy, recognizing your place on the totem pole, and instead of saying that I'm going to maintain integrity, I'm going to go after the bag.
Yeah. Man, I tell you, you gave a brilliant dissertation, a brilliant breakdown. I wish I had the words to follow up with that, my brother, because that was great. But I do not. I will just say, in the common man's tongue, I think you're 100% correct. I do feel like it's kind of like interesting to see like the kind of position that you kind of get put in, such as a Kevin Hart, for instance, like, because he's a person that is clearly playing the game. Because I mean, like, Kevin Hart's like a person like I like as a person, kind of, but he's not funny anymore. Like, but he is always at the forefront of all these movies. It's like he's got the end. So I mean, like, just to be like laughing at literally every single fucking like racist ass joke that was coming out. Oh man, then like the next morning, oh man, it's just jokes. It's a roast. Everyone brought their A game, man. It's just jokes. You leave your feelings at the door. You leave your feelings at the door. It was his way of, I guess, dismissing or excusing it with no problem whatsoever. And that was a bit disappointing. And I'm not gonna lie, like as a viewer, because hey, I can laugh at some of that stuff. I laugh at fucked up shit, but there's a line,
right?
And I have laughed at fucked up shit. I'm not gonna hold you. The Bonsai joke actually got a
bro. I'm sorry. That is a funny ass joke. I laughed when
Umar
said that shit. That shit was funny.
It did get of all of them. That did get a little bit of a chuckle
on
me.
Podcast.
Like it's not a line, but
yeah,
but it is funny.
So, but that's the thing. Like some of it is just straight up not funny. Like it's just like the George Floyd thing. Like there was no joke.
Exactly.
George Floyd was just looking at us up, like, but he was just looking at us from hell. And that was not a joke. That was just a statement. Like,
right. There's no punchline to it.
Yeah, at all.
The punchline, actually, let me rephrase that because I had one of the first videos that I did, it was just no longer up. Now it's a Patreon exclusive because I couldn't make no money off of it. It got demonetized. The big surprise, I wonder why that happened. I was talking about Steve Crowder. And I made the point that conservative comedy, the reason why I consider, because that was the big takeaway that I took from that set, was the disparity, was just how garbage most conservative comedians are. And the reason why is because conservative comedy for like the past decade at least has been one big inside joke. And that is, ha ha, suck it, snowflake. That's it. There is no punchline. The punchline is the way that normal people respond and react to it and say, oh, you was out of line, you was out of pocket. And then they get around and then they start chuckling among themselves. Like, look at how many times when Steve Crowder makes a joke and he says something like, oh, I bet that gets a comment at Media Matters, or I bet that gets a comment. That's the punchline. That's what they're laughing at. It's not I won't say that they're not laughing at the joke itself, but the real punchline is in how pressed they assume people get over the fact of them going there. You know what I mean? That's what it boils down to. And that's why outside of that little circle, it don't work. It don't work for regular people. It don't work for people whose politics don't necessarily align with theirs, because it's like, all right, where you can be conservative and be funny, right? Norm Macdonald was right there. You can be conservative and be funny. But when your comedy is reliant upon your politics, it's only going to, and you can't write a joke, it's only going to resonate with people who aren't laughing at it necessarily because it's funny, but they're laughing at it because they agree with what you're saying. That's what clapter is. That's what clapter is. I'm not applauding you because it was a funny joke. I'm applauding you because I agree with what you're saying. And people have made entire bags off of that over the past like 10 years.
Alvin, I think you're muted.
Yeah, my only pushback to the conversation is, I think with the concept of knowing who runs what, that there's historically been a line to that level of pushing the boundaries of racial comedy and what they present in terms of Black media images. So I always talk about like Rush Hour, like Move Aside Kobe is kind of the level of like, oh, I'm going to put the Black man in his place. Kill Tony is blatant racism. I don't think anybody looks at Kill Tony as like, I need to kiss the ring of blatant racism of a guy who presents at the White House Correspondents' like dinner and gets booed like unanimously by the people who have more than 2 brain cells in a room kind of situation. I'd also wonder how much of this quote unquote perceived success of this Netflix stuff is just people hate watching. So for example, I saw Tony was involved and I just didn't fucking watch it. Like I didn't, like there was no reason for me to like, I know exactly what his brand of comedy is. I know exactly what he does. I'm just like, I don't need to see clips. I don't need to see what you call it. I knew it was going to be racism because that's his brand. So I do think that there's some level of more nuance that I would like to approach that with, where it's just like, I think that this was Netflix kind of trying to see where they could push. I think this was kind of Kevin Hart trying to see where he could push. To Josh's point, I think that he's saying like, maybe the movies where he's the headliner aren't moving as well. Maybe it's a reinvention of where he can
make an investment.
Maybe he can, maybe he's putting in an investment to see what spaces he can move into and what spaces he can exploit. But I don't think that this was necessarily the humiliation ritual kind of thing, because I don't think the powers respect, a Kill Tony branded like comedian. I think Shane Gillis is probably how they tried to moderate that. Yeah, but Shane Gillis is viewed as a more moderate version of a Kill Tony situation. 100%. Like that's why, and even going back to the examples of Speed or even Castanet, right? They had to change as their audience grew up a little bit, right? Like I don't know if Kill Tony still exists in 10 years. I think Kill Tony goes the way of Ben Shapiro on the Daily Wire. Eventually from that perspective. So, but other than that, like to Josh's point, I think that was a brilliant dissertation on everything that kind of goes in and around like these type of situations, and also just a great history lesson, by the way. Like I think people should do well to bookmark that particular segment when this comes out. But that was just my lone set of pushback.
And I do think
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I do my stance on comedy stuff is always, even when the joke is funny, like we talked about that bonsai thing, and I did want to like make my stance clear on that one. Just because it's funny doesn't mean it needs to be allowed to be gotten off. I think that you can make me laugh, and I still go, the thing that you're saying, the audience that you're appealing to, the politic that you're putting out in the world is a problem. Even if I chuckle, I chuckle at shit that I disagree with all the time. But I think I was going to ask to everybody, do y'all think that Kevin, as the most powerful sort of maybe comedian period in that room, but Black comedian in that room for sure, and the other people there should have or could have been expected to have behaved differently? Like Chelsea is here, sort of on the other end going, oh, this is terrible, blah, 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 blah. But she went to the thing knowing Kill Tony was going to be here, knowing what he was doing. So it seems like there's almost a parasitic, we do it and we get mad that it happened sort of a thing, when maybe they should have not gone, or they should have said, I'm done with this, fuck what y'all are doing, or what they could have been expected to have done.
So and this is kind of follow up on what Alvin was saying, because I agree with it not being, a humiliation ritual type of thing, but it being a concentrated effort to court a particular audience, right? Because as he said, you knew what time it was when you invited Tony. You low-key knew what time it was when you invited Shane Gillis. You knew that you were trying to court that Rogan sphere audience, which tends to be at the very least alt-right adjacent. You know what I mean? So again, this goes back to the idea of how much of your soul are you willing to sell for the sake of a bag. If your movies aren't doing all that well, if your stand-up is not doing all that well, if you got all these niggas running around here saying that, Kev not funny, you know what I mean? I mean, example of this. Why invite Cat Williams on there? Why invite Cat Williams other than to publicly bury the hatchet and to show that there is no real ill will between us anymore, that we've squashed it, it's done, it's settled. Effectively, what that thing functioned as in a lot of ways was one big PR statement to say that any and every audience that would have me, that I'm willing to go there. I ain't got no problems with nobody. You understand what I'm saying? I message with the Rogan people. I message with Cat. I message with Chelsea. So again, it comes back to this idea of playing the game and Kev knowing what he's doing by simply courting these audiences to begin with. I remember, again, going back to WWE, I remember when there was a big problem people had when they invited Tony Hinchcliffe onto Raw one time. And it became very obvious at that point the kind of audience that WWE was trying to court was that Rogan sphere audience. You know what I'm saying? People, I think that a lot of times what people do is, I think that people grossly underestimate the intelligence of the general audience and of the general audience's ability to clock BS when they see it, right? Even if it takes you a little bit to think about it, even if you struggle to properly articulate what you're seeing, you can see something and say, all right, something ain't right here. I know in my head what it is, but I don't quite have the words to get it out, right? And so I feel like that, to an extent, is people's reaction to what they're seeing Kev do. They just don't necessarily have the language to say that beyond trash pandaing, they don't necessarily have the language to say, because again, none of these things exist in a vacuum to me. It's hard for me to not draw connections. All of it. Kill Tony being there, Cat being there. It's hard for me to not draw connect. Like, there's a reason why every single comic, every single person that was on that set list was on there. You know what I mean? It's not by coincidence. It's not by happenstance. It all comes together. And from where I'm standing, it appears to me to say that, I'm an open book to everybody, which again, what does that make you? If you are a Black man who's openly courting people whose whole shtick is espousing rhetoric that is harmful to Black identity, what does that make you? For the sake of a bag, what does that make you?
Their soul. Okay, yeah. So y'all's analysis, like you and Alvin, what y'all of that Kevin did this. This wasn't a surprise. This wasn't him being like, oh, they said something fucked up and I'll just let it rock. This was a concerted, discreet effort to diversify his portfolio by having a representative of every comedy market. It's like, cool, I got the alt-right boys. I got a Black comedian that's iconic. I've got the white lady comics in there. I've got everybody here. And I'm going to laugh at everything, which is, I guess, to your point, sellout logic. But that is a different thing than him being like forced to do it or being surprised or caught on the back foot.
And I'll piggyback on that. Like, one thing about Kevin Hart is a true capitalist in the sense of like trying to build an empire and amass as much money as possible. And because I mean, think about it, Heartbeat Productions kind of like he's trying to like kind of follow in Tyler Perry's footsteps to where he can be a little bit more autonomous, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
And this thing is mass appeal. And in order to appeal to the masses, like Bill was saying earlier, like, you got to play that game for one. You can't be too radical. Like, you have to appeal to to everybody. You can't cross the boundary too much, with your core fan base with the Black people. But, that roast might have been like crossing that boundary. But still, I think his whole thing is like amassing as big of an audience as possible without being problematic, without being political, without aligning himself to any like, you know, potentially, you know, what's the word I'm looking for?
Ostracizing.
Yeah, ostracizing himself from anything by aligning himself with like, you know, a stance or like, hey, fuck Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Alienating. That's what,
like, fuck Donald Trump and start talking about politics.
Right.
Whatever. It's just that mass appeal that he's going for. And I think that's why we get him in these situations like we are now. Like you say, like you're kind of like willing to bend some of your morals. Or maybe like things that were important to you before aren't that important now once you reach certain echelons of heights. And now you realize, oh shit, these motherfuckers is like in Mount Everest while I'm at Mount Fuji. I thought I was at the top already, but like it's so much more out here and I have to do X, Y, and Z. Not a humiliation ritual, but definitely playing the game to get further ahead.
Yeah. He's trying to be the Rock. He's trying to be the Rock.
Acceptable to white audiences and all audiences.
There was that when Kevin Hart was like, I want the Rock to remember like he is half black. Like stop doing all this Hawaiian. Like I want you to do some black shit.
A quarter. Yeah. He's a quarter black.
Okay.
Yeah. What's the makeup? Is he 75% Hawaiian?
His mother is Samoan and his dad is black and Filipino, if I recall correctly. But his dad is black and something. His mom's Samoan.
So 75% like Pacific South Asian Islander vibes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So what do y'all think of
black man though?
He does, but if you also, I feel like because black Filipino mixes look very black.
Yeah,
like
his dad looks black.
Yeah. Oh, if you see Rocky Johnson walking down the street, you say, "Oh no, that's a nigga." Period.
Yeah.
Period.
You're not even thinking that he has
pulled over. If he get pulled over and he start talking sideways, yeah.
Whereas The Rock, we think less so.
Hell yeah.
Well, he's definitely more racially ambiguous. He's definitely more racially ambiguous.
Yeah.
Fair. What do y'all think of Cheryl Underwood in this? Because she's in a different position than what Kev is. So we talked about Kev in the creation of this scenario, but there were other black people on the stage. We haven't even really gotten to impact on audience and the broader streaming audience, but just on that stage, Cheryl goes, she was talking to Shane and some other dude, like she was on their podcast after the fact saying like, look, y'all made some jokes on behalf of my husband who killed himself, saying that I'm the reason that he killed himself. Cool, I let that fly. I wonder whether or not that's true, but
no, she was before she even got on that podcast. I think the reason why they invited her on the podcast is before that she was already on like line on Twitter saying like defending the roast, like this is the point of a roast, like it's supposed to be this. So she was already of that mindset before she went on their podcast. I'm not sure what their relationship was pre-roast, but she was definitely of that mindset. And on the podcast, I saw a clip of her speaking with Shane and the other guy. And a couple things, I'm like, oh, Cheryl, like, no, no, that ain't it. One, she said, I mean, and hey, this is her. She was like, she didn't mind the fact that, you know, they talked about her husband who unalived himself. She was, and her reasoning, her logic behind it, because it's true. Well, it happened. Okay, I'm fine with that. And then the thing that kind of turned me off was she was giving out passes to like this guy being black. It might have been Kill Tony or whoever it was that was sitting next to her, the other guy. He was like, oh, he's ordering a crown of Coke. Oh, he's black. This is a black man right here. And I'm like, oh, hell, like, stop it right there. Like, just because of the drink the nigga ordered. Like you get a pass.
Invited to the cookout.
Yeah, because he was ordering Crown and Cokes. So, and then on top of that, the internet is very divided in terms of like this roast. You got your MAGA people, or like, you know, people in general who are very like fence-sittery when it comes to comedy. They don't think about like the deeper implications of what some of these jokes could mean, the impact they could have. But she's actually gaining a lot of support from, I'm guessing, like more right-wing audiences. I've been seeing a lot of comments that was like, oh my God, I never realized how much I loved Cheryl Underwood until now. I never realized how funny she was. So,
oh my God, she can umke like nobody has before. I think I might buy a ticket.
Yeah, I was just going to say, now, do you think that's a coincidence?
Yeah, that honestly, that makes a lot of sense, and it does. Yeah, I mean, look, the explanation of being like, "Hey, I'm," because then that is a humiliation ritual. You're going, "I'm trying to get a bigger bag, not so that I can be at the top of Mount Everest, but I want to eat a little bit better, you know. So I'm willing to maybe bend over a little bit for the alt-right messaging to sell more tickets."
Yeah, but I think it is. I think to follow your logic, I think it is a bigger bag. I don't think it's necessarily maybe not for everybody up there, but for a lot of people up there. Like I would say Kev and Kat, it is I have a bag, I want a bigger one.
To clarify, I think there's a difference between going from I make 100K a year to I make 500K a year. I think that's different than where Kev is secure, his whole family is secure for forever.
Yeah.
So I give less grace to ladder climbing when you're like, I'm not trying to get safety and security. I'm trying to get capital ownership / empire. And I think that's different than what a Cheryl Underwood, who is, as far as I know, a working comedian who's trying to go from middle class to my babies are good. I'm not saying it's forgivable. I just think they're different things. It's one is a worker, one is a capitalist. I think they're different things that are both bad, but for slightly different reasons.
Agree. And if we're talking specifically about Cheryl Underwood, I definitely think there's some nuance in terms of her stuff, but I also think there's
she might be bigger than I think. Fair enough.
No, not even that. I'm saying there's nuance in terms of her money situation, to your point, but I also think that there's also probably difference in terms of her involvement with planning and what she knew and what she didn't know and who was invited and all that kind of stuff. Because it's my understanding that Kev didn't necessarily sign off on everybody who came over there, like the way Kat even introduced himself and said, you know, they start asking people and people start dropping out, so they had to ask your enemies, like that kind of shit. So I do think there's levels in terms of production clout and what people knew and they didn't know. But the other point to that is whether or not something is a humiliation ritual or not, or whether or not it's bending over or whatever, however we want to call that. My favorite Dragon Ball Z quote ever. My favorite Dragon Ball Z quote ever.
We got a cute clip.
Tell me, is it slavery if you get what you want?
Right after he blew up hundreds of people.
I'm not saying I know the answer to that. I'm just saying I think about that in circumstances like this all the time. Like, is it slavery if you get what you want?
I think the short answer is slavery is bigger than the individual. So if you get what you want and other people don't, no, it's still slavery. You're just an overseer. You live inside the house. It's still slavery.
Is this hold on one second. Is this a
thank you for the Grammy?
Okay. I think that was for Bill. Shout out to you, little Bill.
Hey. And kind of piggybacking off of that, right, is that and I was having a conversation about this with a couple of the YouTube homies the other day. And this is something that I've been on for a couple years now, is I get really frustrated with, you know, the fence sitter comedy enjoyer, right? I get really frustrated with the, you know, oh, comedy is subjective. Oh, you know, it's just jokes, bro. And so what I've started telling people is, no, comedy is not subjective. Comedy is relative. And comedy is relative to the point that it can be reflective. It's relative to your values. It's relative to your ideals. Some people is going to find certain stuff funny that other people aren't because they identify with the ideals being expressed by that joke. Like somebody can genuinely find. Go ahead.
No, I was like, oh, where is this going? And you kind of took me there, and I was like, okay, I'm starting to see what you're saying. Yeah.
So, like, perfect example would be like Dave's trans jokes, right? Folk genuinely find those jokes funny, but why? Do you ever sit down and ask yourself, why do I find this funny? What is inherently funny about transness? Because that's essentially the punchline of the joke. The one that always comes back to me is like, you know, he said, you know, what was it? Like, you know, you were a woman living in a man's body. You know, what if I was, you know, a black man living in a Chinese man's body? You know, I find that to be funny. You know what I mean? Why? Because there is something inherently absurd to you about the idea of being one thing, but feeling as though you're in the wrong body. So you got to ask yourself, where does that come from, right? And I think too often what we do is because it's hard. It's hard to look in the mirror and to deal with your own BS and say, I got this ism, I got this ism, I got this thing and that thing and whatever that I got to work out. So instead, what we wind up doing is, oh, nobody wants to have fun anymore. Oh, nobody can tell a joke anymore. Nobody, blah, 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 blah. It becomes the fault of all of the people that are bringing light to the fact that, nah, this is actually a problem. This is actually harmful that you find this to be funny. You know what I'm saying? So I was just throwing that out there, that part I don't like, because I give people a lot of grace, right? But that's one thing I don't like giving grace with, because it's too easy for folk, and I include myself in this, it's too easy for folk to just, to use that excuse as, oh, well, nobody wants to have fun anymore. Because listen, and again, like one of the homies was saying, I'm not gonna hold you. A lot of this ism-free comedy, it is corny. I'm not gonna hold you. A lot of it is corny.
Heavy clapper. Heavy clapper.
Right. A lot of it is clap. I'm gonna tell you just right. I don't enjoy Josh Johnson. I don't got a problem with anybody who does. I just personally do not find Josh Johnson to be funny.
He's batting like 60% to me. He's batting like 60% to me, man. Like, I watch it and I'm like, oh, that was cute. That was cool.
Right. But I'm not gonna.
I like him, but just not as a stand-up. But yeah,
right. I'm not gonna hold you if you enjoy him, right? But what I will say is that I don't think that there is anything inherently unfunny about ism-free comedy. It's just like the majority of folk who do it, they just not funny. They just can't. You can do it. You understand what I'm saying? And it be funny. It's just that most people, because again, I think a lot of people are more concerned with I said this about Dave Chappelle before, is that I think that what lost me with Dave, because Dave started losing me really at like sticks and stones. And what lost me with Dave was that he started to buy into his own mythology a little too heavy to me. He started to believe that he was the new Carlin, right? Not realizing that Carlin in his late year, Carlin wasn't trying to be funny. Carlin was just getting up there, just complaining about I'm an old man that's getting ready to die.
He was a podcaster.
Right. Carlin was a podcast.
That makes a whole lot of sense. That makes a whole lot of sense, because that shit is not funny.
It's not. It's not funny. It's not funny. And so I think what happens is that a lot of people, the problem with a lot of is that they're so hyper focused on the fact that I gotta say something important, I gotta say something profound, like that. My favorite scene from The Boys from like the past 3 seasons was where they had Seth Rogen and from The Immortal and all of them in it. Cause that's what it is.
Well, yeah.
It's I gotta write, this tweet. I gotta, this is going to change the world. This is going to, solve it. No, it's not. It just make me laugh. Just focus on being funny instead of being profound. You know what I mean? And a lot of these ism-free comics, that's where I think they get themselves messed up as, that they're too focused on. So it's nothing about ism-free comedy that is inherently unfunny. But the fact that so much of it is, I think, is the reason why people are able to use that as a cop-out so easily. When it's not. Comedy is not subjective. It's relative. You understand what I'm saying? So if you find certain stuff funny, you got to examine yourself and say, why do I find this funny? You know what I mean?
Yeah, the breakdown of comedy is always about the why, because comedy is a superpower. It's, when Patrice O'Neal is talking about what you're doing when you're doing comedy, you're going, I'm arranging language in such a way that your brain involuntarily goes into this process. You can stifle a laugh, you can stop yourself from laughing, maybe, but it's really kind of not under your control, but it is related to your view on the world. And so if you've ever been in an argument where you get a joke off, you could be wrong as 2 left shoes. You get a joke off and the crowd that you're talking to laughs, everybody feels like you're just that much more right, regardless of whether or not anything that you said made any goddamn sense. And so to me, comedy is always, what's the subtext? What's your thesis? And that's getting heady about it. But it's like every joke, in order for you to laugh at it, you have to understand the premise. And if the premise is these people aren't really quite people or whatever, then it's a little bit different. But I think I give a lot of grace because I like absurdity. So if your joke is I'm saying something that's awful that we all agree isn't true, or isn't it stupid that some people think that's true, I have a lot of latitude for that, though I know some people don't. Yeah.
My thing is like, that's a little tough because I'm with Eddie on that because me and Eddie have a similar sense of humor when it comes to like comedy. We like absurdity. And again, like I've said it before, I laughed at fucked up shit. Like me and my homeboys have laughed at some fucked up shit together. Like I'm not even talking about some shit.
I mean, I do too.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
We all laughed at the bonsai tree shit, apparently, except Alan. But we all laughed at the bonsai tree shit. It's like,
and not to like give too much shine to whatever, but like hell, even the goddamn slave ship in the bottle shit, like that shit got a chuckle out of me too. Like I was like, oh, that was kind of clever.
But I see your point, yeah.
But again, like one thing about it is where's the line? And I think we've kind of like discussed it a bit, but like, where's the line, and is there a line, and is that line like focused on the individual? Because like just because I can laugh or chuckle at something, just like Eddie said, doesn't mean I believe it's right. Like morally speaking, like my laughter is not tied to my moral character, and all of these things. And again, like I said, like the George Floyd thing, that was pretty much a line. Like I'm like, that's not even a fucking joke. Like you just said some fucked up racist shit about a man that lost his life to police violence. But hey, I can chuckle at the goddamn bonsai thing.
So when I say like you got to ask yourself why do I'm not necessarily saying that when you ask that question, the conclusion that you're going to come to is, oh well, I got some anti-blackness to deal with, right? But it's simply just asking yourself the question, why do I find this funny? Is it the absurdity of it, or is it the anti-blackness of it, right? But you got to ask yourself that question, because I do the same thing. I thought the bonsai tree was funny. The bonsai tree choke was funny. But that because the first thing that came to my mind wasn't lynching. The first thing that came to my mind is that this nigga is short. You know what I mean? So that's what I mean by you got to ask yourself why. And I don't think that enough people are willing to do that because we're afraid of what the answer may be. And then once we know what the answer is, now we got to confront it. You know what I mean?
And I do want to preface the slave ship in a bottle thing because Bill, you gave your preface of why you thought the bonsai thing was funny. What I thought was, for one, that was a clever play on words. Ship in a bottle. Oh shit, he's that short. A passenger in a ship in a bottle, and then like a slave ship in a bottle. Oh, okay. But anyway. But yeah. Anyway.
So I will say, because I do think that the conversation always gets to the line, and I know we've had this conversation at least twice before, and we did not come to any reasonable conclusion from that perspective. So I think about that quite a bit. For me, the line is, I think that you can do, for example, as a white person, some observational comedy about like black people or black culture that is not directly, and again, somebody's gonna write the dissertation, so let me go ahead and give the caveat. Yes, everything in our lives is touched by racism. Yes, that is a core structural pillar of Western civilization. Everything that we do and have been and continue to be is in the lens of black. Got it. Cool. No, don't need to put that in the comments. Unless you wanna have that argument in the comments. Please like, comment, subscribe. Go to the Discord.
Patreon.
100%. But like for example, I say it all the time. I laughed at Rush Hour. That shit was funny as hell to me when they had that argument, and Jackie Chan is calling up restaurants and like, do you got fried chicken and collard greens? And like Chris Tucker's like, I would just really love some camel hump. Or like Money Talks when Charlie Sheen is like, oh, it's like a G-Dog on the fly tip. What the fuck does that mean? I laugh every single fucking time. I think you can make observational comedy about other cultures and it be in good nature fun, and it push, maybe not the most PC boundary, but something that's funny. I think for me, it crosses into a line when you're talking about things that are like structural oppression-y. Given the caveat that I said before, comments, you can talk about it, but I already gave that caveat. there are certain things that are directly related to structural oppression that I think are off limits in those situations. Like and again, I wouldn't make a cousin fucking joke about like Eastern Kentucky people. You know what I mean? Because that's like a sensitive topic. You know what I mean? Like, and
I feel like you just did, because that's hilarious. That you compare their deep historic connection to fucking their cousins to our connection to lynching is kind of like, I don't want to disrespect their culture.
Why is that?
So
that's the point. There's a why behind that. There's like a structural component to like why that happens, right? I wouldn't I would make a dying in a coal mine like joke about Kentucky, Appalachia, like kind of situations to kind of take it away from the black lens of it. So I think there are lines clearly related to the structural oppression of people where that is my line, but I do think that you can make funny observational comedy about other cultures. Like, it happens. It's been done.
Yeah, that's facts.
Okay, I think we covered that then. Do we want to get into straight versus hetero or anti-Semitic accusations against rap and hip hop?
Can we do the Durand Burnarr one?
Yeah, of course.
The other way, like Durand Burnarr, national fucking treasure. Love that guy. That motherfucker is hilarious.
Thank you for the Grammy. Oh, and then you sent a secondary link, didn't you?
Yeah, it was basically like the second part of this thing.
Heterosexual, that's biology. Straightness, that's performance. Straightness and whiteness, they're sisters. They're constructs. It's a label for you to perform. Also, when you think about certain boys that are raised, they're not raised how to be decent human beings. They're raised how not to be like girls. They're taught to hate anything that's feminine, anything that's soft, and that, anyone that expresses emotion that is soft. And also that rage and anger are also emotions. It's a lot of conditioning that has happened that has allowed, especially us as black men, to just be human beings. You have to perform. So your value is contingent upon what you do versus who you are. So when you can rest well in yourself, what somebody else does with their private parts ain't stressing you out, you're not trying to perform, that's a heterosexual man. When you are straight, it's rah rah, I hate women, homies over hoes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, maybe this was a, I think I didn't clip the full. All right. Can y'all hear this?
No.
Can y'all hear that? Okay, hold on. How's that?
Somebody else does.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does with their private parts ain't stressing you out,
right?
And you're not trying to perform. That's a heterosexual man.
Yeah.
But when you are straight, it's rah rah, I hate women, homies over hoes. Yeah. Okay. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's yeah. Like I'll tell you one real extreme of a man that's so straight. Some men are so straight that they go to prison.
You fuck me up.
No, you so straight. That's hilarious, my nigga.
That's you so straight. Go back now.
You are so emotionally dysregulated that you would let somebody have you in a space with all these men, with 1,900 all these men, separated from all the pussy that you can be getting, and you want to fuck your shit up and go be with all those men. Yeah. My God, today. That's funny. I know one thing. I wouldn't last 5 minutes in the Oswald football field. Nigga. Listen. Now you've done that sports. Okay, tackle me. I'm shooting my ass up or I'm pressing charges. Slap my ass and not take me to dinner? I don't think so. I'm just saying.
Holy shit.
I was over here learning about music. That's crazy.
That's a great answer. That's a great answer.
When you can.
All right, cool.
That was one of the greatest takes that I've heard this year. Some men are so straight, they will go to prison.
That is, yeah. I felt a little bit of semantic pushback because I think he made a great point, but it felt like he just used straight as a stand-in for hegemonic masculinity, which is like, that's fine. But I don't know that I think it just made it seem more clever than what he was really pointing out, which I think is a point many people have made. But attaching that to the concept of straightness being different from heterosexuality, I don't know about that. But everything else I agree with.
I get what you're saying. It's like the whole concept of it's like real men don't do that. Like yes they do. Yeah, real men do that. Real men are just also problematic and they have issues and they have things that need to work. Like so, yes, but outside of, to your point, the semantic argument, I do think he made lots of great points.
100%. Yeah. I think honestly, there no notes. 10 out of 10 makes complete sense. And being in a space where you're like, I can like the marker of a person who is doing whatever their sexual orientation is correctly is the ability to exist cleanly in a community of diverse genders and sexual expression. So if you can't operate because it's gay people around or it's women around, that's a no-go. So.
And okay, so let's see here. Do we have thoughts or a conversation around the idea of men being valued by, I guess, like what they provide versus like who they are, or being able to do that in a patriarchal society? And damn, what was the other one that he said? Well, I'll just start there. Do we have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, because I saw a lot of people have that take. That's not how I interpreted what he was even saying. So a lot of people interpreted that as men are valued for, like, he said he didn't say what they provide, he said what they do. He said what they do. So I took that to mean their actions generally, and that could be put in the context of what he was saying, just the performance of masculinity in the context of wherever their culture is. A lot of people took that to mean, yeah, man, I'm not a man if I'm not a provider. And I think that that's a piece of it. I do think that is something that 100% happens. I think, I definitely have experienced it. And I know we've talked about it, at length on this podcast. So I know it's something that definitely exists, but I just didn't think that that's what he was focused on, even though I think that that Venn diagram is very much interlinked in terms of what he was saying and that aspect of it. But in terms of what I'm interpreting what he was saying, it's more along the lines of, like, boys like trucks, boy. Even within the context of some of the stuff he was saying, like musically, like I was having a conversation at work the other day, and my one of my older sisters played the clarinet, and I remember in elementary school when I said I wanted to play the clarinet, like niggas joned me for years over there. And I was like, man, I was just playing, man. Give me a trumpet, give me a saxophone, give me boy instruments, give me boy instruments. Clarinet, that's
such a whimsical instrument. That's crazy, yeah.
So that's my take on what he was saying.
Okay. You could have been one of the best clarinet players known to man. You got there if they wouldn't have
let them snuff out your light.
I probably not, man, because I'm just gonna let y'all know, man. I tried to pick up a saxophone the other day, and I do not got it no more. I'm starting from scratch, so I probably would be in the same situation if I played that clarinet.
Damn. Shout out to Squidward. What do you think?
I feel like I've done this video about 4 or 5 times. that somehow come. Read bell hooks. That's all. It's read bell hooks. And I know that people have, specifically straight men, straight black men. A lot of times, I ain't gonna hold you. It's a lot of stuff that Bell Hooks says that I don't agree with. A lot of her takes are anecdotal, but the vast majority of it, she be on it. You know what I mean? And I always come back to this point that because I feel like I've had this conversation insofar as men view themselves, like God knows how many times, right? But it's always something that I come back to that she talks about, whether it be, a woman or another man, whether it be straight, whether it be gay, whatever the case may be, people have we're conditioned to fall in love with a man's manhood as opposed to his maleness. You know what I mean? We're conditioned to fall in love with the role that he plays, or at least the way that he projects that role, as opposed to the person behind it. How well do you project masculine? How well do you project my conception of masculinity, which has been given to me by society, right? And so when we don't perform up to that, and we're just going to keep it a being, society treats us a certain way. And so then we respond in a certain way because we cannot. I talked about this in something that I did talking about rap fatigue or whatever, right? The difference between black men and white men, when black men cannot achieve ideal masculinity, when we cannot achieve the parameters of traditional manhood, that's just because it's in our nature. We are just, it's in our biology to be less than a full man, right? But when white men can't do it, they change the rules. You know what I mean? They changed the rules, and it's reflected because I started talking about bro country, and I started talking about how the themes in country music changed once rural white men were no longer had access to we ain't got no jobs. Once the housing crisis started, we ain't got no jobs. We don't got no money. We can't afford to go to college or whatever. So being a man was no longer, providing for family, loving God, country, and whatever. Now it became, how many hoes do you got? Like the black folk, is reflected in the music. If you listen to bro country, that's what it is how many hoes that you got. We're going to get you drunk. I'm going to get you in the back of my pickup truck for this, that, and the third thing, right? And so the rules change. I can't be a man in the traditional sense, so I'm going to do it in the only way that I know how to, and that's in my sexuality, right? I talk about this. Well, I just recently started talking about this, is that, for the most part, straight men are not real freaks. And the reason why is because we're not conditioned to enjoy sex for sex. We're conditioned to treat sex as an extension of our manhood. We're conditioned to treat sex as an expression of our masculinity, as opposed to something that we just enjoy. That's why it's like, certain stuff, I ain't going to do that because, well, why not? You know what I mean? Or if you enjoy certain stuff, either you feel ashamed or whatever the case may be for enjoying certain stuff, but why?
Yeah.
Why?
I'll just say this real quick. I also think like it's stifled our creativity in terms of what we could.
Right. Yes. Yeah. So that was just because as far as what Durand said, I ain't got no notes. 100%. Like I said, I feel like I made that video like 4 or 5 different times now, and he just put it in a nice, neat little two-minute package that it took me 4 or 5 hours
to clarify,
to articulate over the course of years. So I ain't got no notes on it.
He's a songwriter, so that makes sense. He's efficient with the words.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It was just funny, like seeing the. Yeah, I'm sorry.
No.
Oh, I was just about to say, it was just funny, like seeing the reaction, like online. Of course, like I saw it on Instagram. Most of the comments were like, "Hell yeah, preach, brother! Like you're doing the Lord's work." And then like a lot of people were also like saying, kind of like proving this point. Like I guess like the men, the straights in this situation were kind of like proving this point with the, "Oh no, you don't understand. Actually, being gay is performative." And then like you had a lot of people like saying, "Oh no, not the men in here proving the point," or like even other men was like, "Oh man, not the straights in here proving the man's point." So
it does.
Yeah, and I think like one thing they a lot of men don't understand is in their place in patriarchy and how they serve the patriarchy and how they practice it. Whether that be like knowingly or subconsciously, and we're all kind of like subject to it as well sometimes, is like, I don't think they know what like being performative looks like. I'm not sure if they know what they have the self-awareness to know like when they're actually being performative, when they're performing masculine.
That's a great point.
And that is like the thing that I wanted to like really kind of get into was like when Durand Burnarr said that you're so straight that you will go to prison for the rest of your life because you're so wrapped up in performing masculinity that you can't like, whoa, wait a minute, like I don't have to do this. This isn't necessary. Like I don't have to be like so hard and tough. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that goes as a collective because like I think like more than just one person has to have that mindset. It's pretty much, to make a long story short, a nigga moment. Performing masculinity leads to many a nigga moment. Like I think those are kind of like two sides of the same coin, one and the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do think that giving maybe a little nuance, I think that everybody performs gender to some extent in everything that they do.
Oh yeah,
but including women, because I remember what's her name, Hunter Schafer, talking about when she would date women, they would do little shit in the context of the bedroom where she was like, oh, you want me to fuck you like a man, you view me as like a safe man rather than another woman. And I do think there's those ideas that we all walk into, and some of it's not even bad. It's just like, yeah, I maybe I like to feel submissive or overpowered in sex. Maybe I like to feel like I'm powerful. Maybe I like to feel like I'm, a dainty, damsel. That could be a man saying that. That could be a woman saying that. That could be anybody saying that. But I think men probably take it to the extreme where there's not anything left. Because I've said before in this podcast, I think that a lot of what men are doing isn't sex, and so some of the like men don't experience this thing during sex is like, yeah, because you're not having sex, you're doing something else. You're masturbating into the other person's body, that kind of thing.
Right.
And I don't know if women approach sex with men as sex either. Like, how many times has a man really felt like gently and safely cared for in the context of sex?
Can I say real quick, like, I just thought about something. Like, in terms of performing masculinity, I also kind of like want to like, post check. Like, when was the last time y'all have like clocked yourselves like performing like masculinity? And I'll go first. Literally every day. Okay, I want like one like example.
Yeah,
but like I do have one of frequently. Okay,
yeah, it's
like
frequent.
there was bet because I was definitely. But I think there was like one instance where I was with somebody hanging out. Like she was like laid up on me, but like it was mad uncomfortable. She had a like weight on my body in a very uncomfortable way, and I'm in pain. But I can't be no bitch. I can't be no pussy.
Right.
It'd be like, oh, this hurts. Get off of me.
Oh, you're hurting me. Wow. Yeah.
In my mind, I'm like, yo, I know she gotta know this hurts. Like, I am skinny.
Your arm turning purple, yeah.
I will say though, I do think that it's important to make the point that there is nothing inherently wrong with the expression of traditional masculinity. It all
depends what we mean by traditional, but I'm totally with that. Yeah.
It all depends on where it's coming. Well, traditional, like I consider myself to be a very traditionally presenting masculine man, right? But again, going back to the comedy conversation, but why though? Why do you do it? Do you do it because that's what's expected of you? Do you do it because you expect that I'm going to be rewarded for my performance? Or do you do it because this is what you're most comfortable being? But you got to be honest with yourself and ask yourself the question, why am I doing? Because some people doing it and you're not. Maybe you will be more comfortable having a more fluid expression, but you don't know because you never actually asked yourself that question. You know what I mean? Or maybe you feel like, because the reason why I say that is because especially, in online spaces, sometimes we have a tendency to overcorrect for things, right? I remember I did the video a while ago saying nobody cares about black boys, right?
Oh, the YN video, yes. Yeah,
And the whole point of that video was to make, I ain't gonna hold you. The reason why I made that video was because I was getting way too many weird comments. You feel me? And I ain't gonna elaborate, but I'll just put, I was getting way too many weird comments. And just the way that my brain works, I start going down a rabbit hole, right? And the whole point of me making that video was that in these spaces, we have a tendency, the only time that we have a tendency of talking about men more as a concept than as individuals, right? When we talk about men and we talk about masculinity, we talk about men's sexuality, we more often than not talk about it in the context of how it impacts other people, which is important to do. But at the same time, we have to have a conversation about Black manhood, about Black masculinity, about Black men's sexuality within itself, and not simply insofar as how it affects other people. Because in doing that, we never get to a place where we can actually solve any of that. We just complaining, basically. But when you get to the root cause of it, because, all right, we can acknowledge, because, and the thing about it is that, and this is why I always come back to this thing when I talk to people about patriarchy, is that when I'm talking to you about patriarchy, I need you to understand that men are just as, well I won't say just as much, because but men are prisoners of patriarchy as well. You understand what I'm saying? You are a prisoner to this performance because you believe that this performance is going to reward you with certain things. It's going to reward you with a partner. It's going to reward you with money. It's going to reward you with X and Y and Z and all these other different things, right? So again, why are you doing this? Why do you present as such? Is it because you want to, or is it because of what you think society is going to give you, is going to reward you with? And then if society doesn't, how are you going to respond to that? Are you now less of a man because you don't live up to the standards that society is giving you? Or are you still the same person that you was before? Again, that's something that has to be an internalized thing.
And there's also protection.
Right.
Well, yeah.
Right. Is it right? There definitely also protection in the performance. I'm be right back,
like
y'all.
It's a shield. No stress. You kind of mean that it's like a shield?
Like a shield, but like say for instance, like if you grow up in like in a rougher neighborhood, right? And like you have to put on, like, you got to be tough in order to not potentially you get jumped or get beat up or get picked on or get bullied on. That's what I mean by protection, by performing masculinity.
Yeah. No, because we do. Jamil made a great point, articulated much better than I have in the times that I've attempted to, which she said something like men are the first victims, the first and primary victims of patriarchy was her stance. And what she was aiming at was, we act like things happen in a vacuum and that all men collectively get together and go, let's do some dumb shit that hurts others and ourselves. Instead of realizing there's like a system where any one person bucking the system doesn't change it. It just gets that person beat up, labeled the F word, right? What, fucked up, whatever. And so that's how people stay on program with everything.
I think it's more insidious than that. Like, I think that's a very small part of the reinforcement of patriarchy. I think that patriarchy, to Bill's point, is that it's so ingrained in our psyche at everywhere along the gender spectrum, at everywhere along any relationship that we have, that you don't even necessarily need negative feedback loops because you have so many positive ones, or the perception of positive ones, right? It's like
it's rewarded.
It's like I need a mate, right? Therefore I have to do this. Like, the mates that I'm trying to get are also going to be looking for the things that I've been reinforced I have to present. So it's not even on the situation where it's like, oh, you know, in those minute situations, I'm going to be ostracized all the time, because it does happen. You're like, let's not, you know, miscount the fact that it 100% is a thing that happens. But I think the positive aspects of, especially historically, I'd say less so now. And I think the fact that it's less so now is why you see the rise of the red and the black pill and like the Manosphere podcast and all that kind of stuff, because the more traditional routes to success in a patriarchal system are being subverted for a lot of different reasons. But historically, most certainly, you could just be like, oh, I'm just going to be this guy that fulfills this fever dream of masculinity, and I'm going to be rewarded for that in very real, tangible ways.
Yeah, it's reinforced. It's reinforced, learned, continually re-socialized behavior, not just men collectively deciding to be dickheads at an individual level. So perfectly well said. Not just.
It's fun. We don't have time for this, but there is a video that consciously just uploaded with him and a round table of other black men, like Clifton Powell was there, a couple other guys.
I remember that one. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Bet. Yeah. Because they was basically saying, kind of having the similar conversation. Consciously was like, well, how do we? Patriarchy is incredibly harmful. And Clifton Powell was like, well, how do we unlearn it? You know, I think we should listen to what he's saying and have conversations like this. This is therapy. No, this is therapeutic. So, but it was just a bunch of black men having a, progressive conversation. A bunch of cishet black men having a, progressive conversation with each other about similar things, unlearning this stuff like this, and how do we move forward. From the clip I saw, like there was a couple pieces missing, but in terms of like the action that should be taken, but it's crazy like that. It just literally like landed on the same thing that I saw this week.
Yeah, and even to the protection point, like I think about the ways that I actively try to not be a traditionally masculine guy. Like the number one thing that I always talk about is like I'm not the provider. I'm not paying your bills. Like that's just not who I am. I protect myself in other ways by in my mind compensating in other stereotypically masculine ways.
Yep, seeing you do it
to make me like I'm like so I still perform, right? Because it's hard to escape the rat race that patriarchy puts us all in.
That does always make me that does always make me think of like the historical exceptions. Like my theory about folks like Prince is like and musicians generally, artists generally, that they're able to sort of step around some of the traditional expectations because they like stat max on one or two other ones. So it's like, yeah, I wear, assless chaps and high heels and sequins and float from place to place rather than walking there. But I done fucked half of the country and I'm incredibly famous and powerful and rich. And so you can kind of, that's my theory, at least for those kinds of exceptions that are allowed.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Money is the great equalizer. You know what I mean? Like I'm gonna tell you. So when I went off to college, right, and this is when it really when my Hotep gene really went like, and I began to understand, all of that they imparted in me. I'm gonna tell you like this: don't nobody do more drugs, and don't nobody do more gay stuff than rich white boys. I promise you. Hey, I have seen
more power to them.
Nobody, but you want to know why? Matter of fact,
I do.
I had talked to I had talked to the Herbie about this when I had did an interview for a while back, and had got to the same point, is that you can, as a white, because as a white man, there is a lot more fluidity afforded to whiteness than to blackness, because again, of the white power structure. That's why you can be a white boy, do certain stuff, and it's just jokes, bro. It's just a prank, bro. It's just whatever and whatnot, and you can move in and out and whatever, and still maintain your maintain your status as being cis hetero. Whereas if you black, no, you didn't want to, you gay, you gay nigga. You know, that's how we move, right? And as a white person, money affords you a lot of things, right? Is that it's really, because again, going back to the performance piece, what is the most important aspect of being a traditionally performing man? Is the capacity to provide, to the capacity to protect by way of your provision. You understand what I'm saying? In other words, if you got the money, you understand what I'm saying? You can little bro the biggest black buck in the room just by pulling out your wallet if you white. Because at the end of the day, that's what it boils down to, right? So it affords you a lot. It's there's so much to, you know, it's so complex, but at the same time so simple. Understanding the role of black manhood, understanding the role of black manhood in society, because at the end of the day, again, it boils down to what white society says that we ought to be, what we're supposed to be. And so because that's what they say we're supposed to be, they keep telling us, if you are not this, if you are not this, if you are not, it's like a two-edged sword of, all right, you can't be a man in the traditional sense, but as a black man, right, you're supposed to be this right here. You understand what I'm saying? So if you are not this right here, then what are you? Because you can't be a man. You could be a black man. These are two different things, but you can't be a man. So if you don't perform as a black man, then what are you? And so we get stuck in this mindset of trying to perform that specific role. You understand what I'm kind of, because my thoughts are like, one is late, and two, my thoughts are like formulating as I'm saying it. But I guess the point that I'm trying to get at is that we get into this trap a lot of times of being a self-fulfilling prophecy of ourselves for the sake of having at least a portion, at least, even if it's just crumbs, some degree of power within the white supremacist social structure, right? But it also means performing a role that was given to us by that white power structure, which said that we weren't men to begin with. You know what I mean?
Mm.
I was kind of all over the place with that one, but I tried to bring it home.
It was a good bringing together of a bunch of ideas that we covered during the course of the entire thing. I'm going to lead into, do we have closing remarks on any of what we've hit?
Rest easy in yourselves, man. Just be your damn self. You know, everybody. I think that'll make for a much easier environment for everyone.
Just do
be heterosexual. Don't be straight. If you don't like niggas, you don't like niggas. You ain't gonna just, find your way on some man's lips. Maybe you want a little tickle in your butthole with your old lady. That don't make you, whatever. Come on, baby.
Just give it a try. Give it a try. We're bodies. We're made of parts and nerves and organs that are meant to be stimulated. Enjoy it. Enjoy the vast treasure trove of ambrosia that your body can
only live once.
Mm-hmm.
You only live once. But
you live
get
every
to control how many times you nut. Exactly.
You live every day, man.
Right.
Every single day.
You only die once.
Exactly.
Mm.
Ooh, shit. But
so be gay today.
Every
Tomorrow,
day,
don't matter. Damn, B.
Not every day though, bro, because they ain't, you know what I'm saying? They ain't really allowing themselves to just rest in themselves and not worry about what another man is doing with his genitals, which might be considered a little gay by their own logic.
Which is okay.
Not exactly.
Okay, so look, if you
word, I'm just saying by their own logic.
Point being, you can't win.
It's not. Yeah, whichever direction. Yeah,
whichever direction you can't win. So you might as well just what's the Zootopia song? Try everything. You might as well
experience the world. Look, if you find your masculinity is getting you locked away from all the pussy you could be getting, you might be waving a red flag. But at the same time, if you see a very, very famous black comedian trying to expand his portfolio into the alt-right comedy pipeline, you might be seeing a red flag. This has been Waving the Red Flag podcast. It's been Eddie, Josh, Alvin. Give us a follow if you're in here from Bill's stream. You can follow us at that on YouTube. And if you're interested in either of our card games, if you want to have some conversations like the silly shit that we've been talking about, the serious shit we've been talking about during this stream, you can grab either our dating card pack, which is It's a Red Flag, or our introspective / silly card game in all seriousness. Bill, thank you for coming through. Where can the people find you? What do you got coming up? What do you want folks to check out?
Of course, main is Lil Bill. I got the 2 side Johns, Bill's Barbershop. Bill Talks Ball now for everybody that just want to hear me talk ball, these playoffs and then the NFL season coming. I'm letting folk know now, if you haven't been paying attention over the past like year and a half, I've been undergoing a soft reboot, or well, not a soft reboot, but a soft rebrand on Maine. So there's a lot more hip hop cultural stuff coming out. I got this joint talking about the I don't even know what it's going to be titled, but basically about the history of black comedy, right? And we're going to be finishing off of the year. I'm right now I'm working on my What If series. I just did What If Tupac Never Died. The next one is either going to be 50 Cent or Kanye. I don't know which one, but that's going to be the next one. So
wait, yeah, Kanye never lost his mom or something?
Nah, it's going to be if Kanye never got in the accident.
Oh, yeah. That's good.
So we're going back a little further. If Kanye never got in the accident, and I don't want to bury the lead too much, but if Kanye never buried the accident, I don't know what, because I don't know if everybody knows the lore. So the title's either going to be if Kanye never had his accident or if Kanye never wrote Through the Wire. Because I don't know how many people know that I don't know how many new Kanye fans know that that's where that song came from. So yeah, there y'all have it.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah. Thank you very much for coming through. Thank you everybody in the chat for your lovely comments.
All right, y'all. Deuces.
Bill, just stay on for a split second while I'm on the screen.